Hello, Chris McMeeking with Mobley here to do an introduction to VoiceOver. I did a very long Android video the other day. Android is a very complicated assistive technology, as will be the theme with this kind of Android versus iOS thing that we're doing, especially anytime we're talking about the assistive technologies and the user side of it. Android stuff is going to be highly configurable with a lot of different settings and a lot of different personalization options. A lot of those don't apply to the platform. A lot of those apply to the fact that it's on a lot of different devices like TVs and tablets and computers, and iOS is built for phones, for the phone. In fact, even iPad OS is a thing now, right? So Apple's operating system is really streamlined for the phone. And in general, you kind of expect that from Apple, having that out-of-box experience be the thing that you want. And there are configurations. It's not that they don't exist, but it's not to the extent that on Android. And that this is going to be a pattern here where the iOS counterpart to the various associated Android features is just simpler, and that out of the box experience is what people go with more often than not. So with that being said, let's get rolling. About Mobley, my name is Chris McMeeking. I've been a native mobile accessibility engineer for more than 10 years now. See the intro video to this channel for more information on my background. I am on a mission to post a video every day leading up to Global Accessibility Awareness Day. I'm a little tired, it's late, but I want to do it, so I'm up here, I'm doing it. Let's go. Around Global Accessibility Awareness Day, I plan to publish an iOS and Android interpretation of web content accessibility guidelines. If you don't want to jump back to the intro video, basically, I was part of the W3C for a while, working on WCAG 2.1. A contributor, know a ton about it, but also know that it has weaknesses from a native mobile perspective and strengths. And I will cover both of those in detail and in working with industry experts to refine that interpretation of WCAG leading up to that event. The videos leading up to this are meant to inform why such an interpretation is necessary. Why do we need to look at native mobile accessibility in its own light? And that is what these videos are meant to show. And in order to show that, we need a fundamental understanding of assistive technologies and their users. So we will start there with, oops, not talkback, voiceover. To me, they're interchangeable. I slip up all the time thinking about one platform or the other, because to me, that's just the mobile platform screen reader, right? So we're talking about voiceover, and let's go. All right, so I need to exit my presentation. Let's collapse this, move this to the side a little bit. And let's find my QuickTime player. My cat's being extra vocal. It's bedtime and I'm driving him nuts. So apologies for that. All right, so there we go. Got everything set up. Turning it on. Let's turn on VoiceOver. So we're gonna go to settings. We're gonna go, oops, I'm gonna go all the way back so that you can see this. So settings, here's your base settings screen. I'm gonna go to accessibility. I'm gonna go to voiceover. I'm gonna tap the little voiceover button. Boom, voiceover is on. Just like in the talkback video, I have the volume turned all the way down. As a voiceover user, I would be hearing this spoken out to me. We can see the text at the bottom here, settings, accessibility, back button. I will share where all of that information is coming from in my testing with VoiceOver video. For now, this is an announcement that if I were a VoiceOver user, I would be listening to it. I will share that with you when it is important, right? And so I will be watching this little announcement pop up here. Feel free to follow along, but when it is the center of what I'm talking about, I will make sure that I share that announcement with you verbatim. All right, so first, let's cover touch to explore. So one of the things to keep in mind, and that a mild point of frustration about the way accessibility is handled at companies, is that when people think accessibility testing, they're really frequently just thinking about one user, and that is a blind voiceover user. But there are lots of people who rely on voiceover for various needs. And yes, testing for that blind voiceover user persona covers a lot of the needs. But when we think about the broader spectrum of assistive technologies, There are so many different design considerations for different users, partially sighted users who are relying on VoiceOver for nothing more than the readout. They don't care about the contextual information. They don't care about the information in relationships. They care about their ability to take their finger, drag it across the device, and have stuff read out. And this is really valuable. And notice the setting screen here, how it doesn't matter to me where my finger is along here as I drag up and down. Because these controls span the entire width of the screen, it's really easy for me to put my finger on them and find them. This VoiceOver switch here, I don't have to target this little switch. I can target the entire line here and find that switch really easily. As a partially sighted user or someone who is using VoiceOver with a little bit of a tremor, that's really nice. Having those screen width controls is awesome, right? So that's touch to explore. I can put my finger on here, I can drag up and down, and any place that my finger touches, this little thing updates, the focus box updates, and this is read out to me. My cat is about to enter the screen. I'm gonna put it down real quick. Come on, T'Challa. All right, so now let's talk gestures, right? So as a blind voiceover in an application like this, honestly, even as a blind voiceover user, I still may in fact do this drag thing. This is a really well-designed settings area. Everything is spanning the entire screen. So even as a blind voiceover, I may in fact do this touch to explore type of thing because it's easy for me to find stuff, because it's spanning the entire screen. I am not missing a thing just by going down the center of the screen. Oops, I did miss that little learn more link over there. That was a little sad. It would have been a nice touch to give that an artificial screen width box so that I'm not missing it as I'm going down here. But that's a really, really minor thing. And it's certainly not a WCAG accessibility issue, right? All right, so now let's talk gestures, right? So the other kind of way to interact with VoiceOver is with gestures. Swipe right, swipe left, double tap, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about adjustable controls, right? So swipe left, I focused the thing before. Notice my speech thing is updating. So let's go from the top down here, right? So I'm starting accessibility back button, VoiceOver heading. This is the title of the screen. I swipe right, VoiceOver on, double tap to toggle setting. I swipe right, VoiceOver speaks items on the screen. I swipe right, tap once to select an item. I swipe right, double tap to activate the selected item. I swipe right, learn more. I swipe right, VoiceOver practice button. I swipe right, speaking rate heading. I swipe right, I come to an adjustable control. How do I interact with this adjustable control? Adjustable controls are really cool. In fact, you can program your own custom adjustable controls using the UI accessibility adjustable trait or something like that. I don't have the APIs memorized all the time, but that should be enough for you to Google it, right? Now that I'm on adjustable control, what's gonna happen is when I swipe up and down, I am now adjusting this control, and that's what adjustable controls do. From an API perspective, it sends a little increment message, and then you can do whatever you want with that increment message, right? And so as I'm swiping up and down, I am adjusting this control. In this case, it's the speaking rate control. I like having that north of 50%, but I do not like having it maxed out. If you ever get the chance to watch a power voiceover, use VoiceOver with an insanely high speaking rate, the ability to consume information at that rate of speech is a superpower of some kind. I don't understand how they do it. Picking out meaningful information at a 100% speaking rate is nuts. I love watching it, can't do it. But that's basically it. I swipe right, I swipe left, cool. And a lot of VoiceOver users, especially those new to the technology, are gonna spend a lot of time doing just that, learning, mastering this swipe right, swipe left thing. There are some more advanced things you can do with it, not to the intricacy that the talkback was with all those gestures, but the trade-off is these gestures are really reliably detected. I can sit here and use it with one hand and have it be bigger. And I'm really practiced. I can still do that with TalkBack. But one of the things I see with TalkBack users, especially new ones or engineers that I'm trying to train use TalkBack, is that they mess up these gestures in the swipe right and swipe left, because there's a high degree of accuracy. You need to really flick it. In VoiceOver, this is really easy. It's really easy to do. It's a much more user-friendly assistive technology. Big surprise, it's from Apple. Apple designs really elegant, simple things, VoiceOver included, right? And that's part of the benefits of having the two separate ecosystems, is you can pick your experience, and VoiceOver's experience is really easy to use, and a ton of what you can do with VoiceOver is available in their use of traits back to their APIs. The way that their APIs work allow this simplicity, because I can go here and I have this adjustable thing, and then I can swipe up and down. And so they pack a lot into the power of these just base gestures. Then we have the rotor. The rotor is really cool. So we have this idea of swiping right, swiping left, and swiping up and swiping down. But what does swiping up and swiping down do? We can configure what it does, right? So let's just go ahead and swipe up real quick. What happens? I am apparently on heading navigation mode. It went to the top of the screen. The top of the screen is a heading. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take two fingers and I am going to twist it around my screen, right? And then see how that pops up, right? I'm twisting, I'm twisting, I'm twisting. This is called the rotor. And what I'm doing is I'm changing what the up and down swipe is going to do, right? So I swipe speaking rate, containers, headings, characters, words, speaking rate, right? So it's fine. Not as many options as were available on Android, but arguably some more hard-hitting options. Containers is really cool, and something that I don't want to dive into. We'll get there when we're doing the testing video. I want to keep this short and an introduction, right? So I flip. Let's do the headings. So headings, basically, I swipe up or down to go to the previous or next section of content. I swipe down. Speaking rate. This is one of the configuration sets that's available. I swipe down, no heading found. I swipe up, I jump up to VoiceOver. It allows you to jump between major sections of content. Let's go ahead and do another one. Let's do characters. Characters is really popular. One of the problems that accessibility problems that I see all the time is the idea of taking a phone number and splitting it up into individual characters so that the announcement sounds like a phone number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of 12,345. Well, don't do that. If a VoiceOver user wants to explore a phone number one character at a time, they can. They switch to characters mode and they go, and now they swipe up. So VoiceOver heading. Now I'm going to start swiping down. V O I C E O V E R. I can explore this one character at a time. I can swipe up and go backwards. I can introspect that. In the phone number example, I can also copy and paste it, right? So this idea that we need to manipulate our VoiceOver announcements is a fallacy, and you're actually, this is opinion, but a universally or vast majority shared opinion is fact. Fact, splitting up a phone number into 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, 4 space is making things worse by most user standards. Leave it alone. Let people use the rotor. Let people copy and paste it. You might corrupt their ability to copy and paste it by doing some things like that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the configurations. Again, VoiceOver is a simpler assistive technology. The out-of-the-box experience is really good. Most people stick with it, but we can still talk a little bit about some of these configurations. Speech, this is all about configuring your text-to-speech engine and how it works, the pitch, what languages you're looking at, whether you want it to try and detect languages if you're using an application that has mixed language? Do you want it to try and pronounce that Spanish spelling of the word in English, or do you want it to detect that language? In which case you're going to get this weird kind of inflection difference from the text-to-speech engine. These are all configurations related to how you have the words pronounced and whether or not you use languages, which, by the way, this screen and the existence of this screen, that some of those WCAG requirements regarding language, the way language is handled in native mobile operating systems is completely different. The intent of those success criteria is important, but if you look at the way that language is handled, those success criteria in their normative wording don't apply. Hint, we'll get there. All right, let's keep going. Braille, I always leave the Braille thing alone. I have watched people use Braille boards before. Braille is awesome, but I don't like to share information that I don't understand intricately. And Braille is something that I just don't have my own personal comprehension of, so I'm going to leave it alone. But know that VoiceOver and the ability to consume Braille and how it's configured and how it's presented are related. As a tester, as someone working to make sure that an application is accessible, if you're doing thorough VoiceOver testing, the Braille boards, as long as the interface between VoiceOver and the Braille board is okay, you should have also Braille board accessibility as well. VoiceOver recognition. This is where you are going to go in and configure various automated things that VoiceOver can do. Do you want VoiceOver to look at images and try and guess what the content of them is? Do you want VoiceOver to look at images of text and try to use optical character recognition to introspect those images and read them off to you? As a tester, we want to leave these things off. Ideally, our engineers supply accessibility labels so that the intent of those images is shared. For example, on a website with pet food, there might be a lot of pictures of families caring for their animals, right? Do we care that there's a person and a dog on screen? We already know that we're on a pet food website, right? We don't need that. What that image is trying to convey is that we are a pet food website and we care for you and your animals, right? The description of that image doesn't convey the intent that the designer intended for that image, which is to convey that we are friendly and here for you and your pets, right? So as a tester, I am leaving these configurations off because I want to know when my developers didn't add accessibility labels to their stuff. As a user, maybe I turn them on, maybe I'd just rather know that that thing's unlabeled so I can know when something was supplied by the developer and when it's just not labeled at all, right? This is a user configuration choice. Verbosity. So basically here we're looking at a bunch of configurations that determine when things are spoken, whether they're spoken. Maybe there's some things that we want deferred to haptic feedback or ear cons. That's these configurations down here: capital letters, deleting text, links, actions, more content, container descriptions, numbers. These are all related to whether or not we want the word link to pop up, or whether we just want a little ear con that buzzes in our ear to let us know that there's something actionable, special ear cons for different things, so on and so forth. All of these configurations are related and do similar things. Speak hints. This is one that I get talked about a lot. The idea that accessibility hints can be turned on and off. Accessibility hints are the place where we put contextual and additional information specifically for VoiceOver users about the extended role description of a control. You can turn these off. They get a little verbose. As a power user who is familiar with VoiceOver, who understands how to consume context in words and has that deep understanding of the way that a blind user interacts with an application, I don't need the hints. They're annoying. But as a new user, there is important context and maybe I need them. You can turn them off. There's a bit of a delay. Honestly, I don't see many people mess with this setting, but it's more, like I said, more of a power user setting. Punctuation, customize how punctuation is there. Do you want to pause or do you want to know when there are commas there or not? A writer might go in and turn on the hey, announce me some commas and tell me what punctuation is actually there. Don't just make those inflection changes. One of the big things that Apple was proud of and is still proud of is the fact that their text to speech engine is really, really good at announcing inflections and having a really natural kind of pauses for periods and upwards inflections for exclamation marks and announcing the boldness of text and things like that. How punctuation is handled is configured there. Outside of that, these configurations really aren't used that much. The defaults are pretty much just kind of left there. Commands, you can configure what various swipes and things do. Activities, rotor actions, you can configure what shows up on the rotor. Typing, you can configure how your keyboard works. Do you pause and then double tap on a character, or do you lift up and have the key typed, right? Navigation style. This is something that came out recently. I don't know how recently. I haven't dug into these settings. I am almost always just a voiceover tester, and I have my voiceover configured the way that I like it for a long time. But what you can do is you can go in here and you see this flat versus grouped. Do I want to do this just kind of swipe right and swipe left thing, or do I want things to be grouped by containers? Or there's even an API that allows developers to go in and toggle how the grouping works, right? Grouped versus flat. Navigation style, and that's pretty much it from a voiceover configurations perspective. It's really simple, it's really straightforward, and again, that is the power of the iOS ecosystem, is to kind of have these technologies that just work the way they are configured out of the box. It's the same thing that that iOS users who don't use assistive technologies appreciate about the ecosystem. You open your phone, you sync up your accounts, it's ready to go. And Android, it's different. You got to configure all this stuff, and different user bases appreciate different things. iOS is all about that foundational, out of the box, simple, beautiful, straightforward experience, and it's reflected in how many configurations. In Android, I was starting to get tired of talking about the configurations, and here a lot of them just aren't even used because the base voiceover experience is so simple and so good. And so that is it. Super short video, but that's going to be the theme here. Our iOS videos are going to be shorter because the out of the box experience is so good and so simple. And that is all that I have for you on VoiceOver. The testing video for VoiceOver will be a little bit longer, and it probably will be similar, but as far as introductory content and running you through the configurations, that's pretty much it. VoiceOver is really simple. Contact me if you have any comments or want to chat accessibility, reach out. If you have an idea for a video you'd like to see, comment. If you're interested in feedback I'm interested in feedback on setting up a Patreon account or some other way that will allow me to create more content. Subscribe and click like equals support for accessibility. The more people who click on that like icon for these videos, the more they're likely to be found, and the more deep knowledge about native mobile accessibility is going to be shared. Find me on social networking, LinkedIn, Twitter, email, all chriscm2006, and then Facebook, Chris McMeeking. I generally have the picture there with my motorcycle trike thing. So thanks for listening, and have a good day. And hopefully I plan on publishing quite a few videos this weekend. So I look forward to everybody watching stuff on Monday morning when they get to work. But have a good weekend, and I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to getting into some of that deeper content outside of this introductory material. It's going to get a lot more complicated a lot quicker, and that is fun. Have a good day.